If you've killed a plant before, don't worry, we've all been there. But I have 8 super simple tips that will help you keep your indoor plants healthy and thriving all year round. And these tips are for beginners, but even seasoned plant parents will find something new in here. Let me show you. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about indoor plant care for beginners. Over the last few years, our homes have become sanctuaries, and indoor plants have become our therapy. They're good for air quality, good for the soul, and just good looking. So let me share my top 8 tips to help you keep your plants happy and healthy. The first thing you need to do when you get a new plant is check the label. Most plants come with one, and it usually says things like, keep out of direct sunlight, or water when the soil is dry. You don't have to follow these rules. These are just suggestions based on this plant's ideal conditions. If you want to pamper your plant and give it what it wants, then try to mimic its natural environment. For instance, if it says keep out of direct sunlight, that means move it away from a south-facing window where it gets hot and bright all day long. Instead, put it near a north-facing window where it'll get bright, indirect light. Not all plants want bright light though. Some, like the snake plant and ZZ plant, prefer low light conditions. A great place for them is an office or a bedroom. No need to baby them or fuss over them. Just water when the soil is completely dry, maybe once every 2 weeks or so. Here's another thing that's really important. Don't stress too much about the type of light your plants get. Most plants can adapt to lower light conditions. That doesn't mean they'll love it, but they won't die either. Some may grow slower, and some may start dropping leaves. This doesn't mean your plant is dying, it just means it's not happy. But if you move it to a brighter spot, it should perk up in a week or so. And yes, some plants do want direct sun, like succulents and cacti. These guys evolved in deserts and they want that intense light and heat. A great place for them is a south or west facing window. Speaking of evolving, did you know that indoor plants are actually dinosaurs? Well, not this guy. He's a fiddle leaf fig and he's just a big baby. But the truth is that most houseplants evolved over millions of years, and they were perfectly happy growing outdoors until humans came along. Now they need us to take care of them and keep them alive. You might think that we're their parents now, but I like to think of myself as more of a trainer or a life coach. Plants can't talk, so we have to learn their language. We have to look at their leaves and stems and try to figure out what they're saying. Are they thirsty? Do they need fertilizer? Are they getting too much water? All of these things are really important to know if you want your plants to thrive. Let's start with watering. Most people kill their plants by either overwatering or underwatering. If you think your plant needs water, just stick your finger into the soil. If it's dry, then water your plant deeply. But if it's still wet, wait a few days and try again. Plants don't like soggy roots, so it's better to wait until the soil is totally dry before you water again. A lot of people think that plants need to be watered on a schedule, like every Tuesday and Friday at 4 p.m. But that's just not realistic. Sometimes your plants will need water every week. Other times they'll go 2 or 3 weeks without needing it. It all depends on the type of plant, the size of the pot, and the conditions in your home. The best way to tell if your plant needs water is to check the soil. And if it's dry, then water your plant deeply. And I know what you're thinking. How do I know when I've watered deeply enough? Well, here's a tip. Water your plant until it's hard to absorb any more water. When you're done, there should be water running out of the drainage holes. This is exactly what you want. It means that the water has reached the roots and it's helping them grow and stay healthy. Now, sometimes you may notice that your plant has dry, crispy leaves or wilted stems. This means that your plant is thirsty. If this happens, just give it a good watering and it should perk up in a day or two. On the other hand, if your plant is droopy or wilted and the soil is wet, then you're probably watering too much. You may even see that the leaves are yellow or wilting. This means that your plant is thirsty. If this happens, just give it a good watering and it should perk up in a day or two. On the other hand, if your plant is droopy or wilting and the soil is wet, then you're probably watering too much. You may even see that the leaves are yellow or wilting. This means that your plant doesn't like being wet. You need to wait until the soil is completely dry before you water again. One of the reasons that plants wilt is because the soil has no structure and it's compacted. When this happens, it's harder for the roots to breathe and get the water they need. To prevent this from happening, use a well-draining potting mix and a pot with drainage holes. When you buy a plant at the store, it usually comes in a plastic pot with no drainage holes. When you bring it home, you should repot it into a ceramic or terracotta pot that has drainage holes. These are important because they allow excess water to escape from the bottom of the pot, and this helps prevent root rot. Another thing that you can do to help prevent root rot is to add an inch of pebbles to the bottom of your pot. This helps lift the plant off the surface and allows for better air circulation. This also gives you a place to set your watering can so that it's closer to the plant. Now let's talk about humidity. Most plants like humidity, which is why they grow well in bathrooms and kitchens, but there's nothing to be concerned about. Here's a cool trick you can use to increase humidity around your plants. Get a wide, shallow tray and fill it with pebbles and water. Set your plants on top of the pebbles and the water will evaporate and create a humid microclimate around your plants. You can also group your plants together. This creates a humid microclimate and it also helps regulate temperatures. You may have noticed that when you walk into a greenhouse, it's always warmer than outside. This is because all the plants are grouped together and they're creating a humid microclimate. And if you're worried about mold and mildew, don't be. As long as there's good air circulation, you shouldn't have any problems. I bet you didn't know there was so much that went into keeping indoor plants, but don't worry, you got this. And even if you don't, just pretend that you do. Plants can sense when we're stressed, so it's important to stay calm and positive around them. As you can see, the most important thing about taking care of indoor plants is to just try and keep it simple. Don't stress about giving them perfect conditions. Just give them what you can and they'll be happy. The last thing I want to talk about today is fertilizer. Plants need nutrients to grow and stay healthy. The best way to give them these nutrients is to feed them fertilizer. And I know this sounds complicated, but it's really not. Most plants will be fine without fertilizer during the winter. But during the spring and summer, it's important to feed them regularly. Once a month is usually enough. You can do this by either sprinkling it on top of the soil or mixing it into the soil. I like to mix it into the soil because it's easier and it makes sure that the fertilizer is evenly distributed. Some people think that plants need to eat fertilizer every day, but this is just not true. It can even damage the roots and make the plant die. There are a lot of things that can go wrong with indoor plants, but most of them are easy to fix. If you notice that your plant has yellow leaves, this usually means that it's not getting enough light. Just move it to a brighter spot and it should perk up in a few days. Droopy leaves can be caused by underwatering, but they can also be caused by overwatering. Check the soil to see if it's dry and water your plant if it is. But if the soil is wet, just wait a few days and try again. And if you notice that your plant has pests like little bugs crawling on the leaves or stems, just rinse them off with water from the shower. Sometimes plants can be finicky and they may drop leaves or stop growing altogether. This can be frustrating, but it's important to remember that plants are living things. They have their own minds and they may not always do what we want them to do. The best thing we can do is to respect their needs and try to provide them with the conditions they need to thrive. So there you have it, 8 tips to help you keep your indoor plants healthy and happy. I know you got this. Thanks for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more great plant videos. And if you have a favorite houseplant, leave a comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Bye.